Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Panuga Pravaram Prajarasarasudam Chalnarayanam Tung Pravanam Shri Guru Charman Vande Rama Kristavatale Rupanuga Bhaktiram Chakripa Murti Narayanam Seva Kunje Prajaram Ye Govardhani Girosaka Radha Kunde Rasanande Tat Seva Pudayakam Guru Narayana Kyam Tam Vande Vinod Prestakam Yat Padas Murti Matrena Dhamodara Prasadati Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Shadvaita Grara Shasti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. First of all, for my obeisances countless times to my most worshipful Guru Pada Padma Param Aradhita Master Person Shishmat Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev. Likewise unto the entire Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga and all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Please accept my Dandavat Pranams. Today is the Vigraha Mahotsav Separation Festival, honoring the disappearance day of Srila Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu, who is one of our Abhina Guru Varga. He's within our Guru Varga, very intimate, dear god brother of our beloved Param Gurudev, and one of the first disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. So we'll hear some of his glories, as we have heard from Gurudev and the Vaishnavas. And also, since Giri asked me to speak today, I hope to finish the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Before, we've been doing one sloka per class, and some of the slokas, a few classes per sloka. So I think I'll just read through the rest of the slokas quickly now, otherwise we'll get stuck in them. And then relate the teachings also to Narahari Prabhu, because we're talking about what is the nature of a Sthita Pragya sage, someone who is fixed in pure intelligence, pure wisdom, in Bhakti Yoga to Krishna. So, yesterday we did this verse, Nasti buddhira yuktasya na cha yuktasya bhavana na cha bhaveta shantir asantasya pritashukam. That if your mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness, if your intelligence is not fixed, both intelligence and mind are not fixed, then you cannot obtain any kind of peace, and without peace you cannot obtain happiness. The next verse he says, Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano anuvidiyate trasya harati prakyam vayurnav amivambasi. And we covered that verse as well, which says that when the mind focuses on any object of the senses, then the sense objects are so powerful that they are enough to pull away the intelligence of man. And just like a boat is on water, and when a hurricane comes or a heavy gust of wind comes, then the boat can be pulled away. So then the next verse says, Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvasa indriyandriyartebhyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Or Arjuna, he says, Mahabaho, you are very powerful, Mahabaho, you are very mighty. But even you have become hopeless now. Even though Arjuna, he says, you are Mahabaho, you are so strong, Arjuna, you are Maharati, you can defeat countless enemies. You can fight with countless enemies at once. He's like Atirati. You are so powerful that still the senses are more powerful. Even though Arjuna is so powerful, it said that who is the most powerful person? That person who is self-controlled. It said great personalities, like great demons, like Kamsa, like Ravan, like Hiranyakashipu, were so powerful. They had conquered the whole universe. But still, they had not conquered their senses. Therefore, they perished. Just because of not being able to conquer the senses. They were still Godas. So it said, what is the use of conquering something that is external if you haven't first conquered the self. Not the self, but the senses. And properly engage the self in made the self yukta sita matparaha. What is the gain of all these external things? And it said in the Bhagavatam, in the description of Hiranyakashipu's austerities, it said that great demons like to do austerities so that they can try to control the self in order to fulfill their material desires. So they control their senses for a certain amount of time only to achieve their material ambitions. And then when they achieve their material ambitions, then again they become the slave of their senses. Like Hiranyakashipu did difficult austerities for 60,000 years. That was not so easy to do that. You had to control your senses. So they said even demons, they'll work hard to control their senses, but because they have not changed their heart, they have not turned towards Krishna, and they are still Krishna Bahirmukh, turned towards Maya, an illusory life. So again, after their austerities, then again, what do? They get a high position, and then they become the slave of their senses, and they become antagonistic towards God, and they end up causing their own downfall like that. Said a person may rise up to almost like the Brahmabhut platform, where they're beyond all mundane dualities through their austerities, but still, because they have not offered themselves to Krishna's lotus feet in Bhakti Yoga, again they must fall down. They'll make a mistake, they'll commit some aparadha, they're still the slave of their senses. They haven't offered their senses to Hrishikesh, Krishna, then you cannot control your senses. Until you do this Hrishikena, Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite, until you offer the senses in service of Sri Krishna, how do we do that? We follow Ekadashi. Ekadashi is representing the Ekadash Indriya. Ekadashi is also known as Gyadasi Devi. So in Sanskrit you say Ekadas, which is 11, and in Hindi you say Gyadasi. Gyada is 11, right? So Gyadasi. She is the presiding goddess over the 11 senses. The 5 working senses, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the mind. So by taking shelter of Ekadashi Devi, she is the mother of Bhakti. We take shelter of her. Oh mother, please let pure devotion awaken my heart. Bhakata Seva, Paramasiddhi, Prem, Latikara Mula. Let me engage my senses in Bhakta Seva, Krishna Seva. And then, when we are thus Yukta Asita Matpara, Krishna says, Tani Sarvani Samyamya Yukta Asita Matpara Vasehi Yasyendriyani Tasya Pragya Pratishtita. A person is Pragya Pratishtita, firmly situated in spiritual life, and at that point unable to be attracted or tempted to go towards Maya. When they have completely become Yukta Asita, fully connected to Krishna in Bhakti Yoga, in Krishna consciousness, then Vasehi Yasyendriyani, then naturally the senses come into control. And that person is Tasya Pragya Pratishtita. That person is Pragya Pratishtita. So in this verse, Krishna says, Tasmasdhyasya Mahabaho Nigrihitani Sarvasa Indriyani Indriyartevyas Tasya Pragya Pratishtita. O Mahabaho Arjuna, this material strength is not enough. You must learn how to control or restrain the senses from enjoying the objects of the senses. That we think, when we desire the objects of the senses, then when we act upon that desire and try to enjoy the objects, then we think then I'll be happy. And we think if we restrain ourselves, then it's like a great kind of pain, a difficulty. Like I want to do this, and if I have to hold myself back from doing that, then it's stressful. And we think, oh, to be happy means to enjoy the objects of the senses, whatever our desires are, to try to act out on our desires. That's happiness. But Krishna says you can never be happy like that. If you want to be happy, and he says in the further verses, how to be happy. He says, the verse after the next verse, so we'll just go in sequence. Yani sa sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sani sa pashyato muni. So then Krishna describes the nature of the liberated sage. He said that when mundane people are asleep in Maya, in mundane consciousness, at that point the sadhu is always awake in divine consciousness. Yani sa sarva bhutani means when all ordinary conditioned souls are asleep in Maya. Tasyam jagrati sangyami, at that point the sage is awake. And yasyam jagrati bhutani, when the conditioned souls are awake, sani sa paschyatomani, that is night, or that is the time of sleep for this steady-minded sage. So when ordinary people are awake, sadhu is asleep. When sadhu is asleep, ordinary people are awake. So that is like an external thing. But the internal thing has another meaning. But externally we see it also applies. When when do sadhus get up? They get up before Brahma Muhurta. You'll see like Gurudev, he would get up at 2 in the morning. Prabhuji gets up at 2 or before. Why? Because Nishantalila starts at like 3. But the Manjaris, they have to serve in Nishantalila. So before you serve Radha Krishna, first you have to bathe, clean yourself, dress nicely, and then you can go and serve Radha Krishna. You're not going to like wake up, not brushing your teeth, not putting on nice clothes, then how are you going to go serve Radha Krishna? The Manjaris, they said the real Sevak goes to sleep after Guru and wakes up before Guru. So the Manjaris are like that. They wake up before Nishantalila and they clean themselves, they bathe, they dress nicely, and then they are ready. As soon as Radha Krishna are starting, like including their Naisha Lila, nighttime pastimes, and starting Nishantalila, then sadhus are ready to enter their service. And generally, most people are sleeping at that time. You see, Tasyam Yanisa Sarvabhutani, when all living entities are asleep, we see, like not only human beings are asleep at night and late in the morning, but animals also. It's like, there's very few of the animal kingdom that stay awake at night. Some predators or some kind of birds. But most of them, they sleep at night. But the time of sleep for the living entities, for conditioned souls, is the daytime for the sadhus. You see, at that time they're fresh and bright and awake and active in Bhakti Yoga Seva. And then, when conditioned souls are very awake and active, sadhus are asleep. What does that mean? When conditioned souls are very active to try to enjoy material life, sadhus are disinterested in this kind of material enjoyment, therefore they're aloof from this. It's like they're asleep. Their senses are not active in the same way conditioned souls are active or awake. Conditioned souls are always awake in trying to acquire objects of Maya and enjoy in Maya and get higher condition in Maya. The sadhus are completely disinterested in this, therefore it's like they're asleep. Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Therefore, Mahaprabhu said, oh living entities, you should wake. Wake up. Become like a sadhu. That means become situated in Sandhini Shakti under guidance of Guru Tattva and in Sat Vastu, the absolute truth. Sat means truth in pure existence. It's being established in that Sat or Sandhini Shakti, and then you can become awake. Otherwise you are asleep in Maya. Mahaprabhu said, Jeev